How do you lead up? Hey, I'm Jonno White, and in the next few minutes, you're going to get 3 tips for leading up. As I said, I'm Jonno White. Welcome to the Leadership Question of the Day podcast. Wherever you're watching or listening to this, thank you for following, subscribing, liking, sharing. If you haven't done that, please click the button now. It really helps us to help more leaders become the best they can be. How do you lead up well? This is one of the questions that comes up most often when I'm working with leaders. And the first tip I want to give you when it comes to leading up well is to go big, go extreme on cleaning up your mess, cleaning up your area. I remember one of the things that I loved hearing from one of the leaders I work with is they said to me one time, you know what I see my role as? My role is to do my job so well that my boss doesn't even need to know about it. And I remember thinking, that's so profound. Like, it's not that I want to hide things from my boss, but I want to do such a good job with my portfolio, excuse me, that my boss doesn't even need to know about it because I am just all over every detail. And so they don't even need to worry about it. There's no sense of needing to worry about the area that I'm leading because I've got it covered. And so that's the first tip I want to give you is extreme, going extreme on cleaning up your mess, cleaning up your area, just being so competent and leading in the area you're in so well that people are, that your boss doesn't even need to worry about it. The second tip I want to give you for leading up is to go extreme on vulnerability behind closed doors with your boss. This is a bit tricky to do because sometimes there's certain levels of vulnerability that are appropriate. Okay, so if you imagine a scale of 0 to 10, you might be at a 0 vulnerability with some people that are just acquaintances that you don't even know apart from just names. You might be at a 3 vulnerability with some friends. Then you might have a best friend who's a 10, a spouse, you're a 10. You might have family members that you wish were a 10, but they're a 5. And so the question is, what's your vulnerability level out of 10 right now with your boss? Maybe it's a 2. Well, what would it look like to take it to a 3? I'm not saying that you have to go to a 10 with your boss because not every boss can handle a 10. But I think it's important to be as vulnerable as possible with your boss behind closed doors. And if this is a big red flag for you, as in you cannot be more vulnerable with your boss because of who they are, then my question would be, are you in the right space? Because your leader will be the ceiling of that area of the organization. And if you want to break through a ceiling as an employee, then you probably need to work somewhere where you have a leader with a higher ceiling. But regardless, how do you lead up? Well, try to go to a deeper level of vulnerability. Why? Because behind closed doors, so you want to clean up your mess, clean up your area, that was tip 1, and be so all over what you're leading that your boss doesn't even have to worry about it. But then when you do go behind closed doors, you want to be so upfront, so vulnerable with your boss that you really, you really tell them exactly what's happening behind closed doors. But they also know that when you're out there, you're all over all the details of what you're leading. And the third tip with leading up is to communicate based on your boss's style of communication. For this, I love DISC behavior profiles based on how we make decisions. And it's worth thinking about, is your boss fast moving or slow moving? Are they a fast moving, always, really fast moving sort of person, or are they really slow moving? Are they more task, where they're just always thinking task, what do we need to get done? Or are they more people, where it's all about getting connected, getting along? Okay, so you've got D, which is your fast task person, dominance. You've got I, influence, which is your fast people person, influence. You've got S, stability, which is your slow people person. And you have C, compliance, which is your slow task person. And so if you have a boss who's a D, but you're, so they're fast task, but you're slow people, then how can you engage with them? How can you lead up in a way that a fast task person would enjoy? And think of it this way, okay, you might speak English, but what happens if your boss speaks Spanish? Well, you can tell me 20 different ways about how great your English is. You can speak English slower, you can speak English faster, you can write English out for them. But if they speak Spanish, then ultimately what you need to do is you need to just learn Spanish. And if you speak Spanish to them, everyone wins. And the truth is that you speak English, but your boss speaks Spanish most of the time. And so the question isn't, how can I make my English come through better for my boss? The question is, what does it look like to translate the English that I speak naturally into Spanish so that my boss understands it? And that's really the perspective for every relationship in life. So they're my 3 tips for leading up. If that's helped you get clear on anything in your leadership, then comment right now wherever you're watching or listening with the word clarity. Everything we do is about helping people get clear in their leadership. And thank you again for subscribing, following, liking, sharing. If you haven't done that, click the button now. Subscribe, follow, like, share. It helps us to help more leaders become the very best they can be, and it'll also mean that you'll be in the loop with everything we do, all the new content that we're always putting out about all things leadership. I'm Jonno White. Thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to hang out with you next time. Cheers.